I'm going to quickly redraw this. You've seen me draw these a million times by now. Demand, supply, quantity, price, equilibrium price here, new demand curve, or new supply curve rather, here. Supply curve number 2. This would be supply curve number 1. And then we end up with this price here, which is the price with the quota in place. And in order to do the math, we need to know where the supply curve kind of diverges from the original supply curve and get a price there. And we're going to need the quantity where the quota is and the quantity where the equilibrium was. So let's just use some numbers. Let's say that at the equilibrium the quantity was 100, and with the quota the quantity is 80. And let's say that the price was 1 originally at the equilibrium, and the price went up to $1.50 here, and let's let this point be 0.75. All right, math is pretty easy at this point. We just need to start off by finding the change in consumer surplus, which we know to be this trapezoid here. That is our change in consumer surplus. So we're going to use the same formula. The area of a trapezoid is 1/2 of the height of the trapezoid, which is the difference between those two prices. And of course it's consumer surplus, so it's a negative number. 1.5 minus 1, this is P2 up here. We always use P2, the after the fact price, first when we do that subtraction. And then we multiply it by the sum of the two quantities, 80 plus 100. So that's going to be negative 1/2 times 1/2 times 180. So we need 1/4 of 180, which is, I think, 45. Let me grab a calculator and verify that. Hang on one second. Yes, that is right. So the change in consumer surplus in this scenario is equal to 45. And that is in dollars. And let's not forget our negative sign. And this would be a huge market, so it might be $45,000 or $45 million out in the real world. The change in producer surplus, we said, let's change colors here, is going to be the negative of this triangle here and the positive of this rectangle here. So the change in producer surplus, we're going to find the area of that rectangle, which is just going to be equal to the base times the height of that rectangle, minus the area of that triangle, 1/2 the base times the height of that triangle. So the base of the triangle is just going to be 80. That is the quantity with the quota in place, and the height is going to be 1.5 minus 1. So it's, 1.5, make it show up there. Minus 1/2 of the base of our triangle, which is this distance here. This is 100 minus 80, multiplied by the height, which is this distance here, 1 minus 0.75. All right, I'm running out of space here on my paper. So I'm just going to plug all that into a calculator and see what I get. The first term is going to be 40. And the second term is going to be 100 minus 80 is 20. 1/2 of 20 is 10. So 10 times 0.25, so 2.5. And as always, feel free to double check my math. So 40 minus 2.5 is 37.5. So that is our change in producer surplus, and it is a gain. Now our deadweight loss, we could just add those together to find the deadweight loss, and of course take the absolute value of it, or we could find the area of our triangle. Let me move up here and point out the triangle for you. This area here is our deadweight loss triangle, which we can easily figure out just using the 1/2 base times height. The height of that triangle is equal to 75 cents. Going from 75 cents to $1.50 is 75 cents. And the base of the triangle is 20, going from 80 to 100. All right. Well, 1/2 of 20 is 10, and 10 times 0.75 is equal to 7.5. We can double check our work, and we can find here, if we subtract 45 and 37.5, the difference between those two numbers is, lo and behold, 7.5. So that is how a production quota works. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.